Hey, friends, welcome back to Management Made Easy, where we help you navigate the choppy waters of leadership without losing your cool.
I am Maria Doutruche, and I'm here to throw you a lifeline when you are flailing in the deep end of management.
Oh, I love that, Maria. Come on and throw me a lifeline, okay? And I'm Kishshana Palmer, and today we are tackling that overwhelming feeling of being thrown into the managerial deep end without a life jacket. Now, Maria, I feel as if this episode is timely because the flailing is occurring.
Flailing when I want to be
Yeah,
sailing.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that's the best.
Oh my, I'd rather be on a yacht, and I am
Oh,
just not.
I'd rather be on a yacht, and yet I'm not. And I'm trying to enjoy the simple pleasures of life, but I've got to tell you that I have woken up at 3 a.m. way too many times and had to then just be in prayer because I was like, what is happening? And the crazy part is I'm awake and my mind is moving. But interestingly enough, Maria, I don't know if I'm starting to navigate anxiety differently because I'm not having that anxiousness, the feeling that I'm going to fall off the cliff. I am like, what the heck am I going to do about fill in the blank, right? But I'm not having this hyperventilating. I don't see any options. I am actually just standing at this place where the work before me is about to be real tough. And I'm just sick of being a soldier in the army of the Lord and would like to be on ready reserve. I would like to come off the front line and be on ready reserve. But the flailing is what's happening to all of us, right?
I do feel a general energetic seasonal flailing afoot. It's happening to me. It's happening to folks I know. It's happening to folks that I don't even know, right? They're like three,
Right.
four, five separation degrees away, and something's happening.
Something is
And
happening.
as you were describing your own situation, it made me curious about because we bring our whole selves here. So I be a
Yes.
whole,
The
I'm
whole
a whole,
self.
I'm a whole church mother in training,
Come
right? So
on.
I'm
Come
gonna try to,
on.
I'm trying
Come
to give
on.
you this word. I wonder if when you said, "Oh, I wonder if I'm just managing my anxiety differently," if it's in this context of seasons, like maybe a different piece or part of the fruit of the spirit is coming to bear, right? So rather than, oh, I need more patience to deal with this situation, or I need to find more joy to deal with the situation, or have more faith in this situation.
Yes.
Maybe the situations are coming and the flailing is about this question of how long,
Oh,
right? Like long suffering is my least
favorite.
favorite. And yet it is right there next to the joy, the faith, the patience, the kindness. There it is, long suffering. All equanimous, right? Like they are all
Yes. Come on,
equally
equanimous.
important.
Oh, come on. Look, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. That's his advanced. Ooh.
Come on,
Mm.
come on.
Mm.
Said it with all types of confidence, not even
Listen.
sure if it's a word, okay? Because I put it out there. So yeah, I just that I'm wondering like long if the question is not how will I or how do I, but like how long?
How
Because
long?
the flailing is a natural response to recognizing that you may not have what you need to survive in that moment. So you start flailing. You
Exactly.
start right. So you're like, oh, I got to stay up. So it's a survive. It's a natural, in my
Natural.
opinion, natural coping mechanism for survival. But you cannot do that forever,
You
especially
cannot.
out in the deep end, especially when you can't touch the floor, when you have no idea what happens when you stop. You just imagine there will be this decline,
Yeah,
right?
the
Into an
thinking,
end.
right?
It'll be a sinking. So it becomes a how long will I have to do this? I don't think I have the stamina for it. Doesn't anybody else see me out here struggling? When will the
Hello?
lifeboat come? Doesn't anyone see that I'm not on the yacht?
But I mean,
Somebody come get me.
the reality is no, right? Because we have done a really good job of performing swimming. We have done a really good job of stunting for the gram on the yacht. The payment ain't cleared though, but we on it. You know what I mean? So I think we've all been there, right? Like promoted without preparation, expected to lead without any guidance whatsoever, expected to be a manager and still have a complete and total body of work and no runway to adjust, right? When you move into management, after you have been a successful individual contributor, you basically going back to the back of the class. That's like you in the kiddie pool, and now they're like about this competitive swim team.
Wow, wow. You do not have the stamina.
You don't, not at all. And I think that that's something that many of us are struggling with right now. I don't have the stamina. And then I feel guilt, I feel shame because I don't have the stamina.
Right.
I'm supposed to have it, right? That's what I was told. I'm supposed to go for it. I'm supposed to know what I'm doing. I'm supposed to keep at it. This is supposed to be happening. I'm supposed to be successful. That supposed to sounds like flailing of it. So the word supposed to me sounds like a flail, does it not?
It is a setup for a flail because it is connected to a litany of shoulds.
Yes.
And all I know about should, shout out to the great teachings from Yolo Akil from Beam. That's where I heard this from. If you're saying a whole lot of should, you're probably feeling a whole lot of shame.
Ooh.
And that it's supposed to, it's supposed to, it's supposed to, it should, I should. You're gonna land on shame. And
Yep.
that's just not a workable.
Place to be.
It's not.
It's not a
It's
workable place
it's
to be.
it's vacuous. It's quicksand.
And I think that this whole flailing that's happening for leaders is essentially the quicksand. And so for our leaders who are in the social sector, folks are flailing because programs are being cut without notice. Longtime funders are pulling up and pulling out without notice. It's the without notice, right? So the thing about flailing is that you go from steady ground to unsure in like 2 seconds flat. And that whiplash, when you are in leadership, is enough to make anybody feel like they are sinking.
Definitely, it's like you're out there in the water, treading, can't catch your breath, and someone throws a brick at you.
Ugh.
Like stunned, surprised, shocked, caught off guard, like rug pulled up under you. It's not. Nobody wants to be in a situation, and yet so many of us find ourselves in this
Absolutely.
situation.
And it's like it's happening at home and it's happening in our careers. So I think that part is the struggle that many of us are having because it is everywhere. It's literally like I can't catch a break.
Ooh, ooh, and can I throw an unscripted curveball into this
Oh,
conversation?
we better go ahead.
Okay. It was so funny when you said, oh, it's happening at work, it's happening at home, it's happening wherever. There's also sometimes, especially when you're looking for support, when you finally get just enough bravery to say, hey, I need help. Maybe it's just me and I'm telling on myself, but every once in a while there's someone who goes, oh, but you wanted this though.
Right.
Didn't you want this promotion? Didn't you want to lead this team? Didn't you
Woo.
want to be in charge of this project?
Woo.
Didn't you want this other child? Didn't you want to get married? Didn't you want to buy a house? Didn't you want to send your child to that very prestigious Ivy League university?
Wait.
But you wanted all this.
Wait. Didn't you want that high profile job? Wait.
Didn't you want that C-suite executive level lifestyle?
I feel
Well,
like
not the
that's,
lifestyle. Most of us just want the
we
position.
want the position. We don't
And then
understand. Right. Because we're
there
not
is a
even thinking
whole
about
other.
conversation about lifestyle, right? Because I think that many of us don't even consider lifestyle to be a thing we deserve. We're sort of like running after life, which I
Look,
don't think that's a lifestyle. I think that's a life run. But either way, and I think that this, you're making such a good point because this, aren't you happy? Shouldn't you be happy? And that shouldn't you, should you, you're supposed to be shame. So then it makes you
shame,
less apt to ask for help.
and to receive whatever help you get. Because I'm out here throwing you the lifeline, y'all. But if you don't think you deserve to hold on to it, if you can't relax your body enough to tell your arms stretch out,
That's right.
then I'm just throwing this lifeline for my own purposes. I'm doing it
Oh
for
my
you.
gosh.
But you
Is
gotta
anybody
take
out
it.
there? Is anybody out
I mean,
there?
Kishshana, you've raised a swimmer and a lifeguard, so this is no surprise. Lifeguards are trained to help people who can relax enough to be helped.
That's right.
Lifeguards are trained not to fight with people who are flailing
Or
because
flailing.
you'll end up taking both of us down.
That's exactly right. So let's get into that because I feel like before we get to the like, what are the lifeguard experiences that managers should be having to make their season and to make their role have more ease in it. So I think it's important for us to like understand the actual cycle of flailing. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that, when you and I talk a lot about systemic issues, and when we talk about that, folks like roll their eyes at us. We're like, it's the system. And you're like, who is this? Who is in the system? But when we think about flailing, it's not just individuals who are flailing. It is actually the container that we're in that is weak. It's like having, you know, the Chinese takeout Tupperware
Mm-hmm.
from 7 months ago
Wow, why do you
that's
still
been in
have
the
that?
microwave 3, 4, 5 times. I know somebody gonna cuss me. The BPA's leaching into the food.
You
Um,
gotta release it.
Listen, and they got a little hole at the bottom, but we still trying to use this Tupperware, right? So it's the container is not quite right, and that could be anything: lack of training, unclear expectations from yourself, for yourself, from your team, for your team, from your board, for your board, from your executive leadership, of your executive leadership. And then this myth, this is where I think the big flail comes in, that great individual performers make great managers.
Oh, we're still
Er,
that's still out there circulating.
It is. People are getting promoted every day. Amazing salesperson gets promoted to sales manager. The skill set you need to be an amazing sales manager is not the same as you need it for business development.
Yeah, no, and you'll probably miss some of the autonomy and some of the quick, not quick, but some of the like the wins you're familiar with
Absolutely.
when you're out there doing that work. Then having to manage other people doing that work. The wins feel different when you're an encourager versus a closer, a deliverer.
Well, talk to me about like when I want you to just kind of go back into the recesses of your mind and pull up a time where you were on some real quiet flailing. Because I think that, I want our listeners to know like the struggle is still real. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just navigating it differently with more reps under our belt. But the lesson still keeps coming back around because every time you get comfortable and you think, oh, okay, I'm cool, I figured it out, you move to another level, and then you are back at the back of the class again. So I'm curious about like when can you think of a time where you were like, I am flailing and I gotta figure this thing out.
Oh, so many times. I'm flailing right now.
Woo! Talk about it.
But I'm gonna talk about. First of all, I do not flail quietly. I'm a flopper. I am out there.
You belly
Somebody
flopping?
needs to know. Okay, I want the little krill at the bottom of the ocean to know
No.
something is afoot.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
so I flail quite loudly. It uses a lot of my energy,
Uh-huh.
and it's really not until I chill out a bit and come
Okay.
from a space of some spaciousness that I'm able to even figure out what I can actually even do next.
Yep.
But I'm thinking of one of the first times that I actually had I was a direct supervisor for the first time. And
Oof.
I had previously just been a really, really successful fundraiser.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And now, instead of being a director of development or like a director of institutional giving and having folks who did what I did under me, right? I was just in this very bizarre organizational chart situation where I was responsible for someone doing public programs and I was responsible for someone doing public information, like our marketing and comms.
Yeah.
And I still was responsible as the sole fundraiser in the organization, in top of my supervising them and managing their work. I still had my portfolio to go raise money from.
Which is a whole full time and a half job. Let's be
Let me
let's be
tell you,
clear.
I was definitely working 3.5 full-time jobs.
Yep.
There was a lot about the context in which this organizational chart came to be that I did not know. I was too young, I think, in my career to know to even ask about that when I was pursuing the job because I just wanted it so much, right?
Oh
I
my gosh.
really wanted it so much. It's going to be my first time managing people, and I just really wanted to convey confidence in my ability to take on this additional work
Yes.
rather than have a clear, I mean, how would I have unless someone coached and mentored me specifically for this position to say, hey, there's going to be a lot in this job description that no one person can do.
Absolutely.
And you should just know that going in. There's no magical unicorn who exists who can do all of this well at the same time. So I didn't have that perspective going in. And it was a wild ride. Thankfully, because I'm an excellent fundraiser, goals met, right? Like
Goals
I
met.
was clear. If nothing else, I'm going to get that
You're
done.
like, if I don't do anything else, cash does rule everything around me, and
And
it's
let me
gonna
tell
be
you
in this bank account
something.
for these programs.
The flailing was on the management. I had no idea how to manage these people. And they were not stellar employees to begin with. There were challenges there. There were life challenges that were
Yeah,
spilling over into work.
yeah.
There was work challenges both of them had in different ways, very different ways. And ooh, and they were not there was not their first time at the rodeo, girl, because if you've been a bad employee, you've learned to survive as a bad employee, and you can sniff out where your bad employee tendencies can be
Can
sustained.
That's
And
exactly
one of the
right.
places they can be sustained is with green and underdeveloped management. And so they were playing me for
They were
they
playing
were
you
playing me like a rag doll,
all
and
in your
I
face.
was playing in my face loud. And I had no idea what to do.
And you're like, I know I need to have these conversations. You're like, I recognize that something is not quite right, but then you start
Mhm.
doing all of this internal like, but they've been here longer than I am, but I have to figure it out.
They are
People expect
older
me to
than
know.
me.
They're
They
older than
have
me.
children my age. They know
Correct.
better.
They We assume that folks know better. So I think one of the things you're bringing up about this whole like flailing as a manager, when you're a new manager, and I know seasoned managers are probably going to be like, listen, let me talk about the advanced level flailing, the PhD in flailing that I have. But when you have terrible team members, and that's something that you and I talk about all the time, like we don't bring to the forefront. Sometimes your team members just suck, and if you inherited those folks, then you are in a real pickle about how to either get those folks performing or get those folks to move on to find happiness someplace else. And if you have not had that experience because you yourself are a high performer, you yourself hold to a level of excellence, whether it's realistic or not, you pride yourself on getting things done. Some of that stuff also gets in the way and actually makes you more susceptible to flailing.
Oh, 100%. My theory is that if you are a manager, and even if you're not a good manager, if you have a good team, it is harder to flail because they don't want you flailing.
Correct.
A good team does not want their manager out there a mess because it messes up the whole. So I have never been a member of a team and not wanted my leader to look amazing, to be amazing. I have wanted to support every initiative, and that doesn't look like I'm your yes person.
Right.
Because y'all could call up my former bosses now. Maria is not a yes person, but I am definitely I am definitely a I want this to be excellent. Not only because I'm a part of it, but because I'm supporting you. And I wouldn't
Right.
want to come here and work for you if I didn't think you were excellent. So, how do we just continue to be the best, whole, excellent, healthy team we can be? Sometimes that means saying, no, we can't do a project.
Ooh,
Sometimes that means we need to scale back. We need to hold steady. We need to make some decisions about our personnel. Someone's going to need to not be on this team, right? In this
that's always the
season.
hard one, but it is the one that is true.
Look, it's a very, 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 very stark analogy, and it still holds, right? So I just want to say that before I say it because some people might be offended by this analogy. If you are diagnosing your team's health and there is something on it that is malignant, do you not want to cut it out? Or do you want to become a host body to this malignant tumor?
This is
That's
fair.
a choice.
That's a choice.
Everybody has that choice. When you are a person and your medical team says, "Hey, we found this thing," they'll give you all the information. Here's your
Yep.
diagnosis. Here's the prognosis we recommend. At the end of the day, nothing's going to happen without your consent to either deal with that malignant tumor in a certain set of
Mm-hmm.
ways or to not deal with it and see what
Exactly right.
happens.
That's
And
exactly right.
many of us, if we're honest as managers, we have been in a position or we currently are in a position where we know this is not a good part for this team. This is
At all.
unhealthy. This is dragging us down. This wasting people's time, not delivering. Everything about this is wrong. but I'ma just maybe I'll wait and see. Maybe it'll turn it around. Maybe they'll realize. Maybe if I send them to one more training, maybe if I keep investing, if I give them one more coach, maybe they'll realize. Maybe it'll just all work out.
And the reality is, pause. That's where, if you are listening to this right now and that has been your, well, maybe if I, that's like being in a relationship and you're like, well, maybe if I just do one more thing, maybe if we just go to therapy, maybe if I just be more patient, maybe if I just don't say anything, maybe if I don't, maybe if you just pause, maybe if you just pause and go, what is really happening here? What do I really need in order to stop the flail so that I can get my managerial body, if you will, to chill out so that I can think clearly, so that I can make strategic decisions. So I think thinking about like, what are some of the strategies that we work with our clients on around staying afloat? And the reason I'm asking about like staying afloat, because let's be honest, some organizations and some of our clients, that's all we doing, okay? We're trying to
Right.
meet you where you are. We're trying to call a thing a thing.
And often that's because they come to us flailing.
That's
They
exactly right.
come to us sinking, and it's like deer in headlights, completely frenetic. What do we do? What
What
do
do
we
we
do? So
do?
I was like, well, let's just get to float.
Yep.
That's the first step.
Yep. And so I think, yeah, get into float. So I think, at least for me, and I'm doing this right now in my personal life. And I was laughing because before we started recording, friends, Maria and I were talking about our book. Yes, let's put it up. Yeah, busy is a 4-letter word. A guide to achieving more by doing less. And part of the work that we do at management is to really ensure that you come from a place of health, of wholeness, of clarity as you step into your managerial and your leadership journey, as you think about crisis and change. And listen, I'm Maria. I'm one of those people that I think I have to practice what I preach.
Please
So,
cite yourself, please.
so if we just turn to page 101 in the book of Kishshana. So I think one of the things that's important to me is something I talk about, what I call the cheesecake strategy. So of course I'm gonna talk about food because I love food. And to give you a funny story. So Maria, my mom is a phenomenal chef.
Aware.
But she's not a phenomenal baker. Okay. I do the baking. My mother does not do the
Oh.
baking, but she's right. But when I was a kid, this lady decided that she was going to teach herself how to make cheesecake.
Oh, okay.
She followed a recipe one time, then decided that her way was better, and then tortured me and my brother for months as she went back to keep trying to improve on this cheesecake recipe. I want you to know I did not eat cheesecake ever again until I was an adult. A
I love a
whole
tester. I love
in
an
my 30s is
experiment.
probably the time I picked it back up and was like, let me see. Okay. And so this cheesecake strategy, this like gooey filling put together, right? Because the cheesecake has that like hold on it, has a
Yeah,
little
it's got to
bit
be
of finding
set.
balance and joy. And I think that in order to be able to do that, you got to start by acknowledging what you don't know and seeking resources to fill in those gaps. And so I think when we're thinking about flailing, that it feels almost impossible to think about joy. But you just said a little bit earlier, long suffering, joy, right? Like those things go hand in hand. So how do you get to like this balance as a manager when you have been flailing? And for me, I think one of the things that comes up in this sort of like strategy is like you got to nourish your relationships. And I write, just like the Golden Girls always make time for each other, you got to make sure your goals include nurturing your important relationships.
Yes.
So
Including
many
the
of,
one with yourself.
start there. So if you are flailing as a manager and you can't remember the last time you did something for yourself, with yourself, and by yourself, then we are inviting you into an opportunity to nourish yourself. And
Yep.
that could be with putting better food in your body. That could be with getting outside into the sunshine. That could be by actual rest, stillness. For some of us, that could be cleaning your house top to bottom
Yes.
because some of us love that. That's comfort. That could be pulling out your favorite cookbooks and getting busy with your favorite fancy recipe. Whatever you need for you personally, that's outside of work, that starts to give you back that oomph, that goodness, I think is important. So, nourishing your relationships, I think, is easier said than done because we feel like we don't have enough time to nurture your personal relationships, your relationship with yourself. And then as a manager, you want me to nurture the relationships with my team too?
Right. It feels superfluous. Like, I'll get to that when I get to that.
Exactly. We just got to focus on this work. But actually, that is the work. And then, listen, I'm going to tell y'all to indulge in self care. Here's how it looks at work. Okay, so I want y'all to know. If you don't have a little aromatherapy at your desk, I invite you to get the little waterless ones for $10 at your local home goods store and put in your favorite uplifting scent that creates a sense of peace and openness for you, or creativity, whatever you need to sit at your desk. These little moments of luxury, that is taking care of yourself, making sure that your work environment is clear of clutter. Now, listen, I'm the pot calling the kettle black because on today my office looks like who done it and ran, but I have a commitment to myself this weekend to clean out the entire office and studio so that it is pristine. And I am one of those people that would like to clean so that I can feel like I'm really taking care of myself. And I know that I'm not taking care of myself when things like my office are not put together. And
Yeah.
so indulge in something. Make sure that if you know you're a tea drinker, get the nice cup. Hello? Get the fancy tea. If you want to do your slow pour for coffee, have your French press.
And I think for the types of folks that feel like that's foo-foo stuff that doesn't really matter, one, the research says it does, so I'm not going to argue with you. Go
That's
Google
it.
it.
That's it.
Two, self-care indulgence can also look like setting and keeping hard boundaries,
Ooh, talk about it.
right? So I remember once I just made a boundary. I said, hey, we tend to have a culture around here, a practice. I don't want to name it a cult. We have a practice of just inviting 50, 11 people to meetings, and everyone's in the meetings, back to back meetings. We're just following each other from one meeting to the other meeting.
Yep.
And I've just decided I'm not going to take that on as an individual in this organization, but I will not be coming to meetings in which an agenda has not been sent to me in advance and my role within the meeting is not clear.
Yep.
I I am happy to send someone else from my team who thinks being in the room is important.
Yep.
I'm happy to give someone that type of exposure. But I am not coming unless the meeting has an agenda sent in advance and it is clear what my role in the meeting is. Even if that role is listener, we need some feedback, but this is how meetings for me work. And I just started telling people, this is what if you want me to show up to a meeting, here's what's required. And this was
Yes.
internal only. I wasn't acting this ridiculous with donors or external partners, but intern, I said, this is what it requires. And good luck. It's attainable. You can achieve
You
this.
can.
You can do this.
And what that does in terms of like staying afloat is that it holds people accountable to real productivity and not busy work. Because when we go into, and we do it sometimes, we go into conversations and we didn't have an agenda and we actually like each other, right? Some people work with people they don't like. But we will meander down the road and be like, now what did we accomplish today? And then we feel stressed because we still have stuff we got to get done. And so it is actually an act of self-care to have a boundary like that as a manager, and I want to say as a team member as well, because what it does is say these are our norms, right? We respect each other's time. We respect each other's expertise. We understand what folks' responsibilities are within the organizational structure and that certain tasks don't belong with those responsibilities. And so I think like acknowledging that part is really, really important. And then I think, Maria, like sharing your struggles,
That part.
like it's okay as a manager to say, I don't know, or this is really stressing me out and here's why, or I am over my skis. Does anybody have a better idea about how to do this thing?
Right. It's very important. In the same way we don't talk about our salaries and money, and now we have all
Mm-hmm.
these huge pay inequity issues.
Yep.
Anywhere where there is I'm gonna take it back. Let's keep from the
Be
supposed
back.
to the shoulds to the shame. The next
Yep.
S is silence. If you're silent about it, why?
Exactly right.
Why?
Why?
Who is benefiting from you not speaking up about an issue?
And all that does is it just exacerbates that guilt and that shame, right? It exacerbates that flailing. It exacerbates you feeling like you got to figure it out on your own. It exacerbates you making mistakes. And making mistakes are just fine, right? But making mistakes that could have been avoidable had you just named that you needed support and or help. And if you're not able to get the support or help, then maybe you need to deprioritize that thing. Is really, really important as a manager.
And it honestly just feeds your ego too, Kishshana,
Ooh,
because
what?
the idea that nobody sees you flailing just because they're not helping you is ridiculous. People know that you don't know. People know that you are anxious. People know that you are struggling. And maybe the help is just waiting for you to acknowledge that you know.
Whew. They were like, I was just waiting on you to ask me. Because there's this thing where there are askers and then there are guessers. And all of us grew up in families where we either were the askers or our parents were the askers, or we were the guessers or our parents were the guessers, or that's our family dynamic. I grew up in a family of guessers. People just expected you to
Kishshana.
know. So we spend a lot of
Kishshana.
time just figuring it out. So when I am in a business relationship or a personal relationship with somebody who is an asker, and what that means is if you do not explicitly ask me for the thing you need, I am not volunteering, nor am I going to pretend like I can read your mind to be able to do this thing.
Kishshana.
What I say?
You have
Oh my God.
unlocked another level in my brain.
Oh no!
Asker guesser. Look, that little framework that was just shared for y'all, that was a gem.
What book did that come from? I'm gonna look it up. I know that my dear girlfriend Rochelle is the one who is the one who put me onto that along asking versus guessing culture. Hold on,
What?
listen, friends, we are looking it up. Okay.
Let's just say that right there is a usable tool. Next
Woo!
time you're sitting down with your team, that's a fantastic check-in. Offer the concept. I just want to offer this concept of askers and guessers. Y'all heard about this?
Yes.
And then ask the people in the room, do you think you're more of an asker or a guesser? And see if that doesn't change the way your team communicates with each other. They didn't even
Absolutely.
sign up for this free gem today, Kishshana,
They
but the
didn't sign
people
up for it, but
got
they
it.
got it. They got it today because we just need people to be well, right? And stop flailing. And then I want folks to think about celebrating the small stuff. This is really hard for me, Maria, okay?
It's my favorite.
Part of the reason why I flail so much is literally because I'm like, is that really success? Did that really, is that really something to be celebrated? Was that really good? Or, yeah, that was cool, but it's the, yeah, that was cool, but, yeah, that was cool, but, yeah, that was cool, but. And so, because I'm always looking at the what I consider to be the big picture out there, all the way out there, I am not taking the time to sit in gratitude consistently of the things that are happening here. And I think we
Yeah.
do ourselves a great disservice as managers when we do not take the time to celebrate the small wins. And generationally, this is important because if you're a boomer still in the workplace, if you're Gen Xer still in the workplace, celebrating the small wins ain't really a thing. We birth children who we celebrate everything. You are breathing today, and therefore let us celebrate. And so then we are resentful when they come into the workplace and they want to be celebrated for showing up.
That was so important. Rewind, bring it back, say it again.
We raise these children where we celebrate everything, okay? The mediocrity of the situation. And then when they come into the workplace,
Participation
the
trophies.
participation trophies. And so then when the babies come into the workforce and they still want their trophy, I showed up today. You should clap for me. We are resentful because we don't celebrate. I showed up today. And for some folks, I just want you to know, I showed up today as a feat.
A feat. I know you and I talk a lot about multi-generational workplaces and what so like
Yes.
so I we're already like on a wavelength with that. It excites me so much to hear you talk about what the dynamic there. But that's a big thing, and I think small wins, I don't even really like that categorization of like
Mm-hmm.
I think every day you should look for a self celebration practice. There should be a ritual in your
Ooh, I
life
love that.
every day that honors your accomplishments just in that day.
Yes.
It doesn't have to feel like it's on a spectrum of small, large, da, da, da. Just there every day, and it could connect to some of the other things you've been talking about. Like with, you can connect that with nurturing your relationships. Is there a friend you call every day? And what's the texture of that conversation? Add some intentional celebration to that. Not
Ooh,
just where
that's
you
so good.
celebrate each other, but where you're like, hey, can I take a minute and just like celebrate myself? Because remember I was telling you about Janice on the job who was stressing me out and yada yada yada. Well,
Mm-hmm.
today, all of a
What today?
sudden, I asked Janice, a pointed question.
Come on.
And I don't, her answer doesn't even matter, girl. Let me just tell you, I needed to ask her that question, and I
That's
did.
it. That's what you celebrated. I
I did
finally
it.
fixed my
I
face.
finally said, Janice, are you experiencing this differently than I am? Because I
Ooh,
think
that's a good
that might be
question.
something happening. And I needed to ask her that. And I did it. And then,
That's a
your
good
friend's going to
question.
want the tea on like, what she say? What happened? Because, your friend's invested in what's going on with you and Janice at the workplace. But
Exactly.
I think like, I just wanted to give that example of like what the celebration looks like. Because
Yeah,
sometimes I think when you are looking out there, you're not seeing the daily work happening within yourself.
exactly.
And what happens is sometimes out there, as you progress, you might be subconsciously moving the goalpost. And so you never get there and you forget to celebrate all you did to get wherever you are.
Absolutely.
And that, I
Absolutely.
mean, every day celebrate something.
I love that. And I think also making sure that you stay flexible, you remember the big picture. Why are you doing the work you're doing? And it's okay, friends, to say in this season of my life, I'm doing it because I have to feed my family. I'm just out here trying to make enough money to feed my daughter.
You
Like,
sound like Biggie.
that's it. There are some seasons where that's all you got. And it's okay. But as a manager, to make sure that you're not flailing, you've got to have a pulse on your team. And so implementing regular check-ins, Maria, like I know we talk about this all the time, and you have a much better pulse on like mentors and relationships out in the world than I did not do. So how do people leverage those touch points so that they're able to adjust, to get feedback, like to do all those things?
Can I tell you something super cheesy that I wish more people did? You know those end of year family newsletters that used to
Yes.
go out? Now you just get the card with the picture of the kids, like the
Yep.
parents don't even exist. For years, I sent my mentors, especially early in my career, an end of year report.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
awesome.
I got excited. There were pictures. there were. I sent this report. I was like, I am still out here. Thank you for pouring into me. And
I
I
love
would
that.
spend time in the beginning of the year because especially in development, you have a big climax going up to December
Yes.
31st. And then you're kind of wading yourself into those first few grant
Yeah.
and big events in January. So I always had some time. And so I'd send this thing out, and then I'd say, I would love to reconnect and hear what's been going on with you, and maybe just chat about what you want to accomplish this year in the new year. And I would save time on my calendar in case people took me up on it. And over time, there'd be a certain crew that did. But I think that checking in with folks, your team, there are ways to have more effective check-ins. The list of what you do, what I do, is not effective
Oh,
at
you
all.
do not want a
But
list of activities. That is not a
yeah,
check-in,
a list
friends.
of activities is not the check-in. I
Mm-mm.
think, but keeping up with folks, maintaining your relationship, your community, and Kishana, I'd be interested not only to like flip the question of what are you doing, what do you wish people in your community were doing to better check in with you?
Ah, yeah. I mean, I think, when you're a person who pours into a lot of people, I think that it is human nature to think that you don't need to be poured into. And so I think that, I wish that more people in my community would go, "Hey, how's business going? Hey, is there anybody I can connect you to? Hey, have you
Mm,
taken time off lately? Hey, what's going on for you this quarter? Hey, what are you doing to make yourself smile?" Like just to check in reverse and to offer, notice the guesser, right?
mm-hmm.
So that it doesn't always feel like I'm asking or I'm the one
Ah,
offering. So having more of
yes.
reciprocity that's specific, like I see you moving in the world. Here's a low hanging fruit. Connect with this person just to get to know them. It doesn't always have to be that's going to yield a client, but it does yield a relationship. Like I wish more people would say like, oh, because people assume that I have all the things together and that life is swimming, and I'm always like, this is a work in progress.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is a work in progress. And I think that for me, that would go a long way.
Wow. What's so fascinating about that is that you very consistently do that for other people.
Yep.
And so yes, it is the reciprocity. It is the noticing. I think when you're flailing, it's such a self focus, like I need to survive. And when you're a manager, by definition, you are supporting the survival of other people.
That's right.
And so just that breath to be like, there's someone else, right? Am I noticing how this is impacting someone else? And is there anything at all I could do or say about that? Even just the acknowledgement.
Even it's the acknowledgement. Sometimes it's the acknowledgement and then being able to say, like, what would create more space for you?
Mm,
Because you may not be the one who can do it, right? But you may say, oh, you know who can do that? This person.
right.
And I got to do a better job of being like, this is what I need, community. So breaking that cycle, it starts with admitting you're in it. This is what I need is admitting that you're in a thing and then taking proactive steps to swim and not to sink. You know, several of the ones that we talked about today, we're going to always come back to like how you take care of yourself as an opportunity to not flail as a manager, because oftentimes if you're killing it at work but you are like flailing at home, the probability is actually pretty high you're not actually killing it at work.
Now you've hurt people's feelings because they were hiding there.
No.
You're exposing where the people were hiding, Kishshana. They don't like it. There's about to be comments about this.
Well, Maria, I think we could probably talk about this all day, but listen, friends, we got to get up out of here. What's on deck for us next week?
Y'all take some time and really sit with those feelings that have emerged for you. If you're like me and
For
you're just
real.
like, what do you mean I don't have it together everywhere all at once, all the time? What? Next week we're going to be discussing entitlement in the
Ooh.
workplace
Oh, this sounds
and how
good.
you really just need to check that at the door.
At the door. Oh, that's
Like
going to be
the
a good
door
one.
of your house before you leave, because we
Because
don't
the
need that anywhere near the
entitlement
building.
is so real. Well, listen, friends, this has been another awesome episode of Management Made Easy. Make sure that you like, share, drop us a review, tell your friends all about it wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. We are there. And if there's topics that you think we should be talking about, questions you've got, please drop us a note at let's chat at management.co so that we can kind of figure out like what do we need to be talking about. And if you need us to come into your organization and help you assess, are you flailing? Are you failing? Or are you flying? Having us come
Right.
in to do an organizational audit to work with you on your team members in terms of helping them to thrive through coaching and through retreats, or any of our services will be something that you will not regret. All right, y'all. So we're out of here. Maria, listen. Until next time,
Oh, yes. Miss us, why don't you?
miss us, why don't ya?